Hi, I'm Mark Olives, and today I'd like to talk to you about disc injuries and the fact that they can improve. I frequently have patients come in and they're very distraught that they say, oh my God, I just got an MRI and I found out I've got a disc bulge in my back. And I say, don't sweat it. Over 50% of the population have bulging discs in their back or neck. It's very, very common. It's not a death sentence, and a disc can get better. Now, contrary to what people have been taught by different places, some people tend to think that, well, if I have a manipulation of my spine, I crack my back, I can mobilize that disc back into place or something of that nature. I tell people that is impossible. Because what happens when you bulge a disc is, the disc is a structure that sits between the two bones of your vertebra. It's actually connecting, though, the bones together. The outer part of that disc holds one bone to the other one. So the idea of you being able to move that disc in or out is completely preposterous. The only way you're going to move that disc is if you actually dislodge the spine and you disassociate it to such a degree that you're either paralyzed or dead. That disc does not move in and out, but that disc does get a rupture on it, which can be in the form of a bubble. I tell people that's kind of like a tire that's worn out. It gets thin, and then eventually what happens is that rubber gets thin, bloop, out pops a bubble. Same thing happens. You keep traumatizing your back, lifting heavy stuff, doing different things. You start breaking fiber after fiber, and pretty soon you got a weak spot, and bloop, out pops the bubble. So think of that as just a bulging bubble. You can also get a tear in that disc. So if you do a really bad injury to your disc and you're lifting something ridiculously heavy or something, you can actually tear it and the disc material will leak out of the disc. And that causes a whole different set of problems and is very painful. But those are kind of the two predominant injuries that you'll get to the disc. But most people simply have a bulging disc. So what happens is you're never going to get rid of that bulging disc. It's unfortunately always going to be a weak spot, but it does get better. And it gets better because scar tissue is going to come in there and help you out. A lot of people think, oh, scar tissue, that's kind of a bad thing. I don't want a scar. Well, that's just how the body heals itself up. It cannot produce new connective disc tissue. It just produces scar tissue. The good thing is, scar tissue is very strong and can provide plenty of adequate support that you may never have a disc problem again in your life. You may be great. The other thing that's very beneficial is this disc, as it does scar down, as scar tissue matures, it will constrict or shrink. That's going to consequently reduce the size of your disc bulge. The significance of that is the disc is very, very close in proximity to the nerve roots as they exit between each level of your spinal cord. So if you've got a bulging disc, frequently you'll have sciatic symptoms, or in the neck it could be pain down an arm. So compression of a nerve root from a disc is very common. But as the condition progresses, and if you do things that relieve stress on the disc, allow it to calm down, allow it to heal up, that scar tissue goes in there, lays down, and then shrinks, which is going to reduce the size of the disc bulge. Again, not going to eliminate it, but it is going to decrease it. Another function that's important with this process is inflammation. If you keep irritating something, it keeps swelling. If it keeps swelling, it's going to be bigger. I always use an example. If you bite your cheek, what happens? It swells up. Now what happens? You keep biting your cheek and it keeps swelling and you're stuck in this loop and you can't get out. So with all disc conditions, or pretty much any condition in the body, try not to irritate it, because the more you irritate it, the more it swells, the more it swells, the more space it occupies, and it's more likely to get pinched, and that's going to just keep repeating this cycle of irritation. So if you've got a disc injury, don't panic. It can get better. Try not to irritate it. Try and reduce it and compress it so the scar tissue can help it to heal up, and that will help you out. So good luck in the future, and we'll talk to you soon.